Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of The Eighth Night, a Korean horror film from 2021 that stars Lee Sung-min. So the night exists between real and unreal is the tagline. Our protagonist's struggle to stop the resurrection of a demon has begun. So about, a few millennium ago, a demon was captured, and its eyes were locked up into two small caskets that were buried in separate parts of the world. In the present day, a monk protects one of the caskets, but realizes that the other casket has been compromised and the demon has reawakened. So he asks a younger monk to seek out a man named Park Jin-soo, played by Lee Sung-min, to help prevent the awakened demon from consuming 7 people. A necessary task before it reunites with the second eye in the second casket. If it accomplishes this task, it could spell doom for humanity. So they need to stop this thing, in a nutshell. Now, the opening narration sets up a pretty cool mythos involving the demon's history, and then we get a scene in a sandy desert where some people dig up one of the miniature caskets that was buried. And the story starts off kind of interesting because it goes through news articles and stuff, and it says like radiocarbon dating results of the discovery contradict its alleged age, which hurts this discoverer's reputation. So he subsequently loses his mind, and he says, you know what? I'm going to prove all you people wrong, so I'm going to awaken the demon. And just to prove you all that I'm right, just so he's lost it that bad. So, that was a pretty interesting start to the film. But he's not a main character in the story. He's just like this dude at the beginning. And then we skip to our main characters as they try to stop this demon. So the script kind of blows through the early days fairly quickly. By like the 40-minute mark in the film, we're already on day number 6 of this thing. You know what I mean? And there's only 8 days to stop this thing. So time is running out for our protagonist pretty fast here. But still, this is kind of a leisurely paced affair, I would say, that will require some patience from the viewer. I do like the flow of the story, though. There are references to things early on that are not really explained thoroughly until later on in the film. And, like, for example, whether or not there's a connection between these victims that this demon is consuming, you know what I mean, on its path. Or how the protagonists know at least one person. They know of one person that the demon will eventually possess. So their strategy, and they say this early on in the film, these are the good guys. They're like, okay, we know that the demon needs to possess this one like shaman girl. So if we kill her before the demon gets to her, we stop the process. So it's almost like we have to kill someone in cold blood in order to stop this thing from destroying the world. It's pretty interesting stuff. The second half in particular, I think, has some thought-provoking content. As it turns out, there's some certain qualifications necessary to become a vessel for this demon, which I won't spoil, of course. And you may need to watch the film a second time to understand the twists and some of the details. I thought at least one of the twists was like impossible to predict. You might be able to predict a few of them, but one of them was out of left field, but it does work quite well. I do think the film makes sense after one viewing, but I'm still hazy on a few details, so I would need to watch it a second time. Now, Lee Sung-min is a great actor, and he continues to receive higher profile roles that are giving him additional exposure in the West. The Spy Gone North and The Man Standing Next are 2 recent titles that you should check out. Anytime this guy's in a film, you can expect a legitimately impressive performance, and The Eighth Night is another example of this. Now, there are little bits of humor here and there, just a little bit though. The film takes itself pretty seriously, but you get a few dashes of humor between the protagonists, like this younger monk and then Lee Sung-min's character. There's a scene in an ice cream shop, I think, involving an attractive woman that I found quite chuckle-worthy, involving this young monk. So you'll just look out for that part. I thought that was pretty neat. But the horror sequences in this, early on, are pretty brief. The scenes where the demon jumps from one body to the next, very quickly shown. There's nothing especially impressive in those sequences for the most part, but I like how the demon acts in awkward ways. At one point in the film, it attempts to smile after possessing the body of a schoolgirl, and that moment is kind of like, it's creepy, but it's blackly humorous kind of at the same time. I started chuckling a little bit, and then I was like, oh, actually, this is kind of creepy, because a demon who hasn't had much interaction with humans would probably act like that, just have a real unnatural smile about them. So I like that. The biggest obstacle, I think, for this film, though, is that most viewers will see this as lacking memorable horror set pieces. And I agree with that sentiment. With the exception of maybe the ending. The ending has a few moments that'll stick out for you. And it has a few surprises. But most of the film, up until that point, is lacking in any big-time set pieces that last a significant stretch of time, like chases or home invasion sequences, or I don't know, demonic attacks and stuff like that. So you have to, like I said, you have to be a little patient with this one. It's it's not a crowd pleaser of a film. This is a film that you watch if you want to watch something maybe a little bit different from the typical horror film out there. Because it has a few little interesting story beats to it. So there's definitely some neat stuff in this film. After I finished watching it, I found myself enjoying it more the more I thought about it. So it's got some good stuff in it. It's a good quality flick, I think. But again, not a crowd pleaser. This is not one where you're sitting there with a bucket of popcorn, you know what I mean, having a ball with a group of friends. It's not that type of horror film. But it's good. I enjoyed it. And if you go into it with a little bit of patience, I think you might enjoy it as well. So The Eighth Night is available on Netflix, streaming in the United States. And as always, I will see you next time.